Hello, welcome back. I know it's been a while, so I'll give you a little bit of an update and then we'll get into this video, which is going to be about the Jupio Tri-Charger. So I think it's good to introduce a little bit why I'm making this video. I really like the product. No, I should be more careful. I really want to like the product, but because I like the idea and I like that somebody worked with a company to try to create it, but practically I have quite a few issues with it. So I'm making this video not to be negative, but to hopefully provide feedback to the company, especially how to fix it, because this is a product I really want to like, but there are at least 5 or 6 issues which are a problem. So I do it a bit in reverse, sorry for that. So I've not been making a few videos for a while. I always had the opinion I'm not doing it for the money. The idea was to only make videos if I have something to tell. That's basically what happened. I don't have much to tell. I didn't buy too much new equipment. That means that I don't have much to share. Maybe on the Sony A1 I could have talked a little bit about the new firmware, but I didn't really get going. So as a result, and that's the news thing, I guess, as a result, because of new rules, YouTube took away my monetization. That means that there are no ads anymore on this video. Over the, I think, 4 or 5 years, I made about 4,000 euros. So it was not that much, to be fair, probably about a few dollars maximum a day, especially on the long tail videos. And the YouTube seems to be pushing that you need to interact and engage and publish every quite often, so that otherwise they will kick you out. That's what seems what have happened to me. And I have decided not to even try to reapply to get monetized again. I will just leave it like this. I will make videos when I want to, but it also means that I'm going to make the videos now a little bit more negative. Let me explain what I mean with that. Not negative to be negative, but in the really trying to either help people, so that's positive. But if you're talking about products, trying to say, hey, I would improve this, or I would like to see this in this next version. And this is a good example. That's why I try to do it. I will maybe have a few other products from the past that I liked, but then I found problems with it. Or if you have requests, I'm more than willing to sort of do that. I'm hoping that this helps companies. And actually, I had companies in the past ask me to just criticize and check out firmware and hardware. Maybe I will start doing that. So in this case, the way of payment would be at a maximum that a company would send me something to review in this negative or criticize. I think criticize is probably a better term. Or they send me the newer version of the one that I criticized with the parts fixed. So let's get going. So we are going to talk about this one, which is a Jupio Tri-Charger. I currently have 2 batteries in, and the idea is, and I think that in the name already implies it, that you are able to charge your Sony batteries 3 at a time. It also seems, and I think that's very good. Let me first say a few good things about it. And this will be a long video again, but I guess if you're really interested in watch a few reviews of this, which are all quite positive, to be fair, and I simply don't agree with it, and I will try to show you why. But the idea I really like, the idea that you have a very sturdy case, which has multiple features, and I will get back to that, and it holds your 3 batteries, and you can sort of walk around with it and have it in your bag, and it's secured in. It doesn't take too much extra space, and you can charge your 3 batteries at the same time, and you have features like that. You can see how full the batteries are, which not all battery chargers give. So in this multi-use, because I do think it's quite big, in some ways putting a camera here just to give you a size idea. It's about the size of and the width of the body of a smaller or semi-big Sony camera. So ZV-E1 or this even the E1, you can see this is not a small battery charger. If you compare it to the official battery charger, so the one which has the Sony one, you can see that it's much bigger. If you compare it to another USB charger that I might be using in this demonstration, you can see how much bigger it is, both in this view and also in the top view. You can see it's massively bigger, right? It's it's big in all aspects. Also, this weighs about, I think, 60 grams. The one that I have coming in today, which I might make a new video about tomorrow, is 80 grams. And this is 188 grams without the batteries. So that means that it has to have extra value. And some of the extra value they try to do is indeed to make it way more stable, and you can put your batteries in so it doesn't take 2 times the space. You can make the argument, of course, yeah, this takes space in your bag, but you still have to have the 3 batteries with you, and this kind of includes that. Which is totally true. That helps a little bit, but in my opinion, not enough yet. But it does also give you space to put in your Sony cards. In this case, the Express A cards and 3 slots for CF card, or for normal SD cards, and also the smaller types on the end here. So that's quite nice. I would like these to be readers, and I know that the original YouTuber who worked with the company also tried that, and they said it was not possible for heat reasons. I simply don't agree. I think it's possible. I will also get back to that. But that would be one extra feature, and I think if this idea works, they need to try to get it smaller, but more important, they need to try to give it more functionality. Because if the 100 grams extra weight and the price, it's about 5 times more expensive than other chargers. So the one I'm showing you is 20 euros. The one I'm getting in today is 27 euros. And this one is 100 euros. That's also for that money, which I'm more than willing to pay. It's the same price as the official charger. You need to provide me with extra functionalities, because if I want to use it in my bag, then it has to fulfill multiple things. And to begin with, the 2 things that they advise, which is basically a battery charger and a power bank. So let's get into the negative things. And again, I'm hoping that if somebody from the company sees this, they really think about, what I'm saying is true, and otherwise provide me with information that I'm wrong. But also take these hints and make a version 2, because I think in concept, this is a very good idea. So, let's go to a list, because I made a list, because otherwise I would forget and it will be even more disorganized. So, this is the list I made, and we will move back from this list and talk about it. Now, the first thing, which I can't show you right away, because I set up 5 different batteries, all Sony official batteries. 2 of them are fully charged, and 3 of them are 50% charged, so I can show you something. But the maximum charge is not 3x. What I mean with this, if you put in 1 battery, it might go at full speed. We'll get back to that later. But the other 2, if you also have them in, they do charge at the same time. So some battery chargers would only charge 1, then go to the next one, then go to the next one. This does not do that, but it's definitely not true that it's going all 3 at the same speed, which is kind of what the name implies. Then the second thing I want to talk about, and also want to show a little bit, is the charging speed. And I think here's something interesting. I've watched quite a few reviews of battery chargers, but in reality, people sometimes test until they're totally full, which is tricky because they don't define the 100% moment all in the same way. It also depends on the charging curve. What I have done, and I will show that now, is some testing that I've done with one Sony battery, so every time the same one, then brought it from 60% back to 50%, and then charged it how far I could get it up. So using a certain charger. So 50% battery is kind of in the middle of its charging range, so it's not starting up, it's not at the end point where each charger might decide differently. Also, I kept the temperature of the battery about the same, so I think this is quite a fair comparison. And here is also two of the major problems that I have with this battery charger. So I will first talk through the different things that we are now seeing on screen, and then show you a few things. So the first one, so you can see I charged it for 20 minutes each time, drained the battery about the same temperature to 50%, and then see how far I could charge it up. And we will start from the bottom up. I think that's most useful for most people. Maybe I should put a list the other way around, but that's what I did. So at 5 we see the official battery charges. So that's the wall plug one, this one. And people always say that that is the fastest, which is also not true. So it charges the battery from 50% to 77% if I give it 20 minutes. So it's 27% of gain in 20 minutes, which is our reference. I think that's totally fair. Everybody who has the official charger would say that is the one to compare it with. So what lots of people say, and I really, I know that this was true with older cameras, but with a newer generation camera, so let's say the last 3 years, because my A1 is doing it correctly, but I guess around that time frame, the internal charger is just as fast. So what I mean, if you use the internal one in your camera, so you just plug up a power bank to your camera, it will charge at the same speed. In this case, I used my Sony A1, again, the same battery. I drained the battery to 50% and let it charge now inside with a good power bank inside the camera. And you can see that also goes up to 27%, up to 77. And by that one, I put the wattage behind it. It turned out to be charging at about 14.5 to 15 watts, mostly 14.5 within its, let's say, comfortable range of the charge curve. So later in the beginning, in the end, it will do something different. So this is one myth which I think is important to always talk about in this video, that the idea that people have that this charger is always faster than just your internal one in your camera is not true. I also like to already comment on that in the old days the idea was charging inside your camera is a bad idea because it's bad for the electronics. I think with the power over the cable options, the amount of power that the cameras are using and the overheating tests and stuff like that, I think it's, to be fair, nonsense. I think with modern cameras, with modern mobile devices, they are all now kind of built to take the least the amount of wattage, which is not that much, to be fair, the amount of wattage that is defined for internal charging. So I don't think there's actually an advantage. So for example, if you're traveling with a backup camera, which you should, then it's just as good to use your backup camera as a charger as the official one. It will be just as fast. If somebody in the comments can show me that is not the case, then go ahead. I tested it on the Sony A1 and I tested it on the ZV-E one, and for these two cameras the charging was just as fast. So to the next one. So the next one, that's how this started, because I'm into power banks in the last few weeks, and if you want I can also talk about that some more in another video. But I found out that the chargers that I had were not basically doing a good job. And what I mean with not doing a good job, they would not support power delivery. So the first thing that I got was this 20 euros, really cheap, well, but nicely built, Patona charger. This was 20 euros and it claims to be a PD charger. So that's the third one result that we see, and that was able to bring it from 50% to 73%, to 73%, so 23% gain. So we already see that this is a tiny bit less than internal to the camera, which I find, I can't really explain it. I don't think it makes sense. I think, and we'll get back to it, it basically means that the electronics inside are just not good enough. Hopefully next generations, they will fix it, because if you compare it to phone charging and other ways of charging, this seems, it should not be that difficult. But for the rest, this charger works fine. It also works with 2 ports, but then again, it goes, the one would say about full speed and the other goes in about a lower speed. With a combined wattage of, I think, 18 watts. So about that. So now we get to the one that we are talking about. So let me just put it in the picture again so that we know which one we are talking about. So the Jupio Tri-Charge. So here's where it gets interesting. First, I want to show you the second point on my list, or the second problem. But let me first tell you what the results were. You should see 2 results here. First, if I put in 1 battery and do it from 20 minutes from 50%, then you can see it gained 20%. So this charger is slower than the €20 charger and basically the other chargers that they have. The internal camera is faster, way faster, and the Sony charger is way faster. Now you could make the argument, before we show you stuff, okay, it's a few percent extra and it's not really a big deal. And in a way I might agree with you. If it's only a few percent, that's fine. But when I did more testing, I found more problems. And if we go back to the list, you see a second result. And the second result is kind of what bothers me the most, and I think is basically a design mistake, and I would almost say rules this charger out for me personally, although I like the idea, so I really hope that they fix it, and some of the other issues. So you can see on the top result, what I tried to explain there, what happens if you put 2 full batteries in there, so they are not charging anymore, which I'm preparing, that's why it was already hooked up. So 2 full batteries in the Tri-Charger, and you put in a 3rd battery which is not full, which you just depleted in your camera. Because this is a very realistic scenario. You are shooting something and you have your charger hooked up to a power plug or a battery power bank, and you want to charge the battery, put it in there, take a new one out, put it in your camera and sort of rotate them around, right? It's nice that you have 3 batteries, so you don't have to do it constantly. But is there an idea that you put the full one in, the empty one in, you take a full one out? So that means that the 2 other ones are full most of the time. And what happens then is kind of surprising. When you put 2 full batteries in there, it slows down considerably. And you can see if I do that, so 2 full batteries, and then again the 3rd battery, which is 50% drained, put it into charge, you can see that it only goes up 12% in 20 minutes. So there's 12% in that charging in the normal scenarios where there are 3 batteries in there, one of them is not fully charged, so that's supposed to be charging. It will only charge you 12% versus 27% if you just do it, for example, in the camera itself. I think this is unacceptable, to be fair. So let me show you that. So let's go to the demos instead of talking. So let me, you can see I've already hooked it up. I will sometimes make also remarks because I might forget. One thing that I also don't like is that even if it's fully charged on a power bank, it does not automatically shut off. The cheaper ones do. If they think the battery is full, they will stop. This one seems to be powering the LEDs all the time and then draining your power bank. So I will use the top view, and I might have to adjust the camera a bit so to show you the charger that we are using. Here it is, and activate it, and hopefully you can see this. Let me make it a little bit big for my, what I think, yeah, hold on. Of course, me is me, and me is, of course, like always, a little bit messy. I'm going to adjust it a little bit so that you can see the wattage numbers. because I think in this case that is important. So I've done that now. So let me also make this full screen so that you can see it even better. So what you're seeing here is that the battery is doing 0 watts, right? So basically proving that that the, hold on, so I can see it myself. So you can see that it's indeed done with charging, which is important for this test. Every time that you take the cable out and put it back in, I'm using the supplied cable, but of course I also tested with other higher end cables. You can see that every time I remove and plug it in, it will try to recharge again. It takes about a minute, 2 minutes before it gets to 0 again. I don't really mind that, but for that reason it was hooked up. So now let me show you what happens if I take, so I discharge 3 batteries to 50%, which are here. Let's see what happens if I put one of the batteries in, right? We can see it boots up to 6.3 watts going in. Remember the Sony internal charger was doing 14.5 watts. Now let's look at the side view. You can see indeed this one is now charging and it's saying that it's in its third part kind of. But you can see 6.3 watts, right? Now what I'm going to do is remove the other 2 batteries. So basically, which are not charging, right? Because they were at 0. So we'll see what happens if I move up one. I won't take it out, I don't think it's necessary, but you can see it goes up to 8.1. If I remove another one, you can see that it goes to what it's considered to be full speed. It might go up a little bit more when the battery gets a little bit better conditions, but about 10 to 11 watts. That's why, by the way, I did the 20 minutes test to make sure that it was heating up. But you can see the major use case, so the use case that you are putting 3 batteries, or you have 2 full batteries in there, and you're dropping a new one in, yeah, you can kind of see what happens, right? They are not connected at the moment, and the moment that I put them back in, you can see that the speed right away goes back to 6.3. Now it goes to 9 because what is happening now, and we can maybe wait a little bit and we'll check my list, but it's now trying to also top off these parts, because I said every time that you connect it and disconnect it, it goes to also tries to charge the other 2 again, but it's definitely not going full speed to this one. See, now it goes back because now it decided that these 2 batteries are full, and it goes back to the slow speed of 6.3. So what does that mean? That means that in the use case where it's basically built for, it charges at 6.3 watts. So about half the speed advertised for one charger, not even all 3 chargers. So yeah, I think this is a major issue, to be fair. Yeah, I think they should definitely work on that. So let's go back to our main list. So that's what I mean with the speeding. So number 2 we talked about, the charge speed compared to the others. It's even in one battery mode, not great, to be fair. It is more than, it is into the PD range. So that means that it does do power delivery, but it does not compare to other well-picked, let me say it like that, well-picked solutions. So a good PD other charger, I showed you one before, the internal cameras or the wall mount charger from Sony, they all charge faster. I also showed you what happens if you have 2 full charging and full batteries and you put one in. I think that is really a major issue. I'm not sure what's happening, but it is an issue. So let me also show you the point, try to show you point 1, which is that if you put in 3 batteries which are not totally full, then it also, what is its maximum, right? So we'll take these 2 batteries out, put that away, that I remember that these are the 100% full. I didn't prepare this one, so I'm taking the battery out of the Sony A1. So this one is to 50%, this one is to 50%, and I got another one, all Sony cameras. So we are now putting in 3 batteries, which are all 3 at 50%. And if we now look at the top view and see what it's doing, you can see that it now charges at 18.2%. Let me check the number. Yeah, 17.2. So what does that tell us? And I have not seen it above 18 or 19. So if it would be doing a full charge on all 3, then it should go basically to 3 times 14, right? So to go into 28 or 36 range. It doesn't do that. And the argument that they are making, and there's another one on my list, is that it's for heat reasons. And I think it's just cheap implementation. I think that's probably the best way to say it. Because the point where it heats up is over here. Basically, if we look at the charger, this part. And all chargers do that. So if we look at this charger, it will also overheat. I think it was indeed in this area, but only in this area. The one that I ordered for today, they claim that they've put in multiple charge element. That means that the heat can be distributed over this massive body. So I just don't believe that if they would have put in better electronics in this, and the electronics had 3 different channels, that they could not charge all 3 at the same time at full speed. Because the heat, this part, basically 90% of this body does not get warm. It's only this part. So by putting in multiple chargers or here, so multiple electronic parts, totally separated, which are not that expensive, because remember, including profit and all the other things, this one does it correctly and is 20 euros. This one is 100 euros. So I think if at worst the electronics inside are $3, $4, then they could have spent it on here and done it correctly. And we will get back to that later, because then it should have taken about 40 watts, 45 watts, and be able to charge all 3 of them at the same time. Overheating would not be a problem. So let's check the speed. You can see that even now it's already dropping to 15.4 watts. That's basically about the same speed as one battery, tiny bit faster still than one battery in the other charger. And definitely slower, for example, than this one, which does it faster with 2 batteries in it. And maybe tomorrow, if I get the other charger and people would like it, I can talk about that one. But you can see all 3 of them are charging, so that's the good news. But yeah, you don't really gain too much speed. And again, if that would be the only problem, that might be okay. But the fact that is, if you put in 3 batteries, 2 of them are full and the third one is not full, then it becomes a worse charger, is, I think, yeah, not great. So let's go back to the list again. So we talked about 1, 2, and 3 already. The Powerbank bank does not do power delivery. So I'm going to remove this, and I will put 2 full batteries back in and show you that. So take 2 half in and put 2 full backs in. So that means that we have a pretty full power bank now. So they say that this can act as a power bank. Again, I'm using the official cable, although better cables, I of course also checked this. So what we mean, of course, with a power bank is that you can use this to charge something. Now, I think personally, and I will get back to that, is that it would work nicely with your cameras. And that's another sort of point. But let's first test it as a normal charger. And I will jump from left to right in my list, because one thing which is a problem, in my opinion, is the position of the connector. And this is, I think, quite a silly mistake. I think most people, and I need to show it when I'm holding it, most people will pick it up with their right hand. I hope you agree with me. Let me do it. I can't revert to it, but of course, the connection is on the left. So see how I'm holding it? Where do you think my natural impulse would be to put in the charging cable? over here. And I've talked to several other owners and I've asked, have you ever plugged it into the wrong side for charging? And they say, yes, all the time. Because if you want to charge it, you have to put it on the left side. So if you want to use charge the batteries, you have to put it in like this. The other output is for basically the battery bank function, which I'm going to show you now. It's on the wrong side. It's that simple. It's on the wrong side. Or you need to somehow block it up. It might be better to put it on this side and then with a little rubber cover on it. So that the one that's open will be the charging one. The one that is not open is the one that you can use as a power bank because you don't use that often. Or as something like these anchor banks do, which I really like, these have inputs and outputs at the same time. That will be also a solution. Then you can't put them in the wrong side. But back to the power function. Oh, I'm jumping from left to right. Nobody said I was organized, and we are not getting paid for this anyway. So on this side is the power bank function. Again, in my opinion, on the wrong side. And let me take my iPad because that is able to take 40 watts, right? Now, I don't expect it to do 40 watts. I really don't. But I think it's realistic to say if it's a power, if it had correct electronics and the 3 batteries are more than capable to provide power delivery, so more than 8 or 9 watts, it should be able to do that. Now, I need to have a small little device because otherwise we can't see it happening. I'm using this really small sort of power meter so that we can see how much wattage is going in my iPad. So plugging it in, then I have to press the button and it should start supplying power. There it goes. And you can see it will be jumping about maybe a bit. Well, it doesn't in this case. You can see it's charging, and I hope you can see that it's at 10 watts. So it's charging this iPad at, it's now jumping to, still on 10, yeah, still on 10. It's 10 watts. It might fluctuate a little bit, but it's definitely not a power delivery format, because otherwise, I think this shows a little icon there. We will check that if we put in another one. So if we indeed put it in another power bank, which I'm doing now, you see 2 things happening. You see that the speed goes up, and you can see that it now says that it's using power delivery. And it goes back to 33, 34 watt. So what does that tell us? That yes, this is a power bank, but it's basically quite a bad power bank. Again, no other way to say it. It's not great. It's maybe good enough to charge your phone slowly, but that's about it. So is that an issue? Well, in my opinion, this, because if you're talking about value, then if I want to use this as a power bank for my camera, it will do the same thing, right? It can only charge the Sony cameras at 10 watts. And we know that's not even close to full speed. So if you want to use this as a power bank to a camera itself, not really great. In fact, it's even worse because it shuts down if you do that, at least on my Sony A1. So you can't really use it to feed the Sony camera as a power charger, as a power bank charger. You can use it in if you want to use it to keep the camera running longer, so basically as an external power source. That works, because I'm not sure why, but that works. Although I do feel it drains the batteries quite quick. So the other thing on my list was not functions as a power delivery device. We've shown that. Now, in one of the videos that I've seen, which also had the designer on it, I'm pretty sure they talked about that you can use it charging while providing output. So let me show that that is not the case. So I will hook up this cable to the power bank. Should not forget to switch back, something like this. So I'm putting in the charger again. So it is now charging. Again, remember, 2 batteries are full. One of them is at 50%. And I will use the power bank side to see if my iPhone will work. Put it upside down for now. And let's look at the power that is, well, you can already see the charging icon. Let me quickly, no, it's nothing really weird on the screen. So you can see that the charging symbol is not on. See what happens if I remove it, the power of this cable. And there it goes. Now it decides it wants to be a power bank. If I hook it up again, you see right away it goes off. So the scenario that they're sketching is that you can use as a power bank while charging is not true. That also means that if you want to hook it up to a Sony camera because you think, well, that's nice because I have three external batteries, and you will put in the power of the wall power over here, that would also not work because you can't charge these batteries and keep your camera fully topped up. Again, in my opinion, just old generation electronics inside. They should put in better electronics. But again, you showcase that it is not working as, I'm not sure if they advertised this, but at least they hinted to it. So let's go to the list again where we left off. Yeah, shutdown moment. When you're charging, and of course now there are 3 batteries in there and not 2, in my opinion, it never shuts off. And others do. Hopefully I can show you that now because I remember that these are the 2 full ones. Just show you that. So this is the, sorry if it's messy. So this is the empty one. Take my phone out because we show you that. Because I want to show you as many real scenarios as possible.
I found this on the web.
It's nice that you found something, Siri. So now putting in the cheaper one.
Okay, I found this on the web for now. Check it out.
So we'll put the 2 batteries in this charger. This is more, I would say, more traditional design, but it does do power delivery. So we can check 2 things. We can check the speed, which this is quite kind of nice because you see indeed does what it does, right? So if I put in a new battery, it goes on for a few seconds and then shuts the whole system off. There it goes. Just to showcase, if I put a 50% full battery in, you can see that one should turn off and the other one doesn't. And with a tiny bit of luck, we can see it's taking 11. I think the other one should turn off in a second. I'm not sure if then the display always, maybe the display doesn't go off if it's one battery. That kind of makes sense. But you can see it's not moving anymore. So it clearly thinks that it's done. If I take out also this one, yeah, that was the full one. Try to remember which one was full. This one is also full, right? Hopefully. By now it's not that bad anymore that I forgot which one is which one because we show most of things. But I think now both of them are 50%. And the reason I'm showing you this is that this indeed goes over the 14 watts, right? It might sometimes, depend if they get a little bit conditioned and warmer, it might go to 18, 19 watts. Still not fantastic, so it now goes to 16. It might go up a bit more, but clearly more than one battery. So this is kind of just as good as the Tri-Charger because it's also like 1.3 times the speed, if that makes sense, purely on charging speed. Yeah, so let's get back to Liz. We will leave these charging in this charger. Again, today I will get in a 27 euro charger that claims to be able to do it at full speed, both batteries, and also has a Bluetooth connection so that you can check it on your phone and you will automatically get a signal on your phone when it's done. Now, that's a way more traditional charger like this one. So I'm not trying to blast the idea. I really like the idea of the Tri-Charger. It just should be implemented way better than it is now. So back to the list. Shutdown connector on the wrong side we talked about. The weight and the size, just to repeat, it's pretty big. So it has to have multiple values, in my opinion, to have it in the bag. Even though it's a nice idea to have it safe and secure and stable in your bag, they don't fall out. You can keep the batteries in there and then of course saving space again, but it's just not really enough because it's 100 grams extra of weight, a lot of extra size, and the downsides are too big. So that's the point. Then basically, right, needs more value. One thing I think we have talked about most things, but let's go back to this view and kind of close up shop. Let me also put this up so we can see it a bit better. So a few things that I think what they should do. I think the most important, or not most, but move the port to the other side or put a cover on it so that you don't make the mistake. I think they should actually put it on the other side or make them bidirectional. I think the biggest thing that needs to be done is an upgrade of the internal electronics. Spend a little bit more than a few dollars. I'm sorry, but that's kind of what it is. Put more electronics in there. If you put it in more locations, then the overheating will not be a problem. Which also talks a little bit about the other thing. And I heard the original person say, and I might be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong, that they could not be able to have a flashcard reader in here, or as not flash, but also express card reader in this because of heat. That would be a really nice sort of extra feature because then you don't need to have your flash reader with you, which saves space and weight, and that compensates again. And they say it's not possible for heat. I think that's simply nonsense. Because if it's in flash reader mode, then it does not have to be a charger at that moment for me. Because you're using the cable out to your camera or you're using the cable out to your computer, it does not need to charge. So the all overheating comment is nonsense. It's basically that they didn't want to put in the time to make the electronics that it would automatically do one or the other. I totally accept if it would not do both at the same time, but you can't convince me, even in this amount of plastic and space, that the readers were not possible in this solution. Both for the flashcard, so they could, for example, put the flashcard reader in that one, and then the A in this one, so different locations. Again, they could both be active at the same time because the battery mode would not be on. Space-wise, that will be quite workable. And again, that's adds value. So if they want to make this into a successful product, or maybe it is already a successful product, but in my opinion, a more usable product, at least for me, and hopefully also for others if they see this review, if they really make an update for this and fix some of these issues. And I think yeah, I hope that they don't stop working with YouTube people to try to make products which are more based in reality. But I do think they need to spend the time and money in a way that makes sense. And I know this may sound a little bit harsh, but I think if I can show with quite simple examples what the problems are, and they are real problems, they are not like, well, it charges 1 or 2% slower. No, no. In the main use case, so with two batteries in there and then putting a depleted one in, it just charges at the slowest speed I've almost seen on all other battery chargers. So I have to pop up two of them and then it will go to a little bit higher, not even that high, but a higher speed. And if I plummet them down, it will go basically to a half speed charge. So you created a battery charger which claims to be a tri-charger, which in this most realistic use case, when you're putting in an empty one and taking out a full one, will not give you a full charge speed. It will give you a half a charge speed. So, yeah. Not sure what more I can say about this. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully somebody watches this from the company and makes the fixes needed for this product. I know it's 45 minutes, and I still don't care. I'm pretty sure almost nobody watched this, unless you want to buy this and you say, why is this so negative? And you want to see the things that I'm seeing, and hopefully also pressure the company to fix some of these issues. If I made any mistakes here, if there are massive mistakes that my unit is broken or whatever, then I will take this video offline. If not, I might add a comment that they started fixing on it, on trying to resolve issues. But for now, this is it about this charger. Again, maybe tomorrow I will talk more about the new charger I'm getting in, which claims to be 2-speed at the same time. So thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye bye.